Hey there. You guys had some questions on layering, so I'm going to show you some layering techniques. Oh, sorry, my phone's going off. Layering is basically only for your preferences. It's so you can see what you're building and how the finished product is going to look once you're done with it. So you don't have to use layering. It just really helps visually for what you want to do. So I've set this down here at 4 inches so that everything that comes up here on my mat is going to be at 4 inches. And I'm using the Creative Memories Cheerful Seasons cartridge. It's not available anymore because the original Creative Memories is gone, but if you have it, it's a wonderful cartridge. And this was actually the first thing I ever learned to layer, and so this is why I came back to it. So I'm going to make this little apple bucket. You can't really tell from this that it's an apple bucket, but it is. So if we put this up here, we have the apple bucket. Then if I was to put the next layer on here and keep it on the same layer of the mat, it's not really going to break it out so that you can see the finished product very well. So that's where the layers come in. So we're going to delete this image. I'm going to change this one to be the color brown. I'll get rid of that. Change our color a little bit just so it helps us differentiate what we're really building so that we can see. And most baskets are brown. Oh my goodness, my phone. So if I add another layer, then I add this second layer in here, and it's going to put it down here because it runs out of room. We can just slide it right over the top. So that's easier to see, right? But there's more. So we go to the next part of it. And we need to add another layer so we can see this next color. We're going to add it to the next layer. And we're going to make this one red because the apples are red. So we're going to stick the red on here. See how they line up. And to get it perfect, I'm just using my arrow key to make these leaves line up. Okay? But then there's more. So if I hit shift, now I need to again add another layer and bring this other part of the bucket up here. And we'll move it up so we can see it. And we'll make this layer another shade of brown. Where's brown? This will work. Close enough. And we slide it over. Again, use my arrow key to line everything up perfect. And there's our apple basket. So it's cute, right? And that's what the layers are for. That is why you want to use the different layers, so that you can visually see what you're going to create before you create it. Now, if I was to plug this into my Cricut, which we're going to walk over to my Cricut right now, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Let me get plugged in. Get everything turned on. Okay. So now if I hit cut, it's going to want to cut each individual layer on the mat right there. Exactly where it is on the mat, that's where it's going to want to cut it. So I'm going to need 4 different mats with 4 different colors to cut this. So let me show you. So if I hit cut, so it's going to want our first layer right here to cut. And then once I cut it, it's going to automatically advance it, but I can do it down here by hitting next. And then it's going to want me to put a mat in with our yellow layer. And then it's going to want me to put a mat in with the red layer and a mat in with the new brown layer. That's a lot of work. Some people do it that way. That's not how I like to do it. So what I do is I separate each layer and I put them on my mat in 4 different places, because this one's a good one. It has 4 images, so we can put it in 4 quadrants on the mat. And then I know on one cutting mat that I want to put my red paper between the 6 and the 12 and between the 0 and the 3. And I want to put excuse me, the yellow between the 3, I'm sorry, I said 3 and I meant 6, between the 6 and the 12 and the 6 and the 12 down. Same with our other layers. You're just going to divide your mat into 4, and wherever you have an image, that is where you're going to put your paper. So now, when I hit cut, and they're all on one mat, but it thinks it's on 4 mats, it's showing just the brown layer here, and then so I load my mat and I hit cut, and it tells me to load mat, but it's going to advance to here, and then I hit cut, and it's going to know to go and cut my yellow one right there, and then I hit cut again, and I never remove my mat from the machine, and it cuts everything in one cut on one mat, and then I'm done. It's not necessarily the right way, it's not the wrong way, it's just how I do it. There's no right way or wrong way. It's personal preference on how you like to do it. And that's it. That's all you got to do. And I hope that answered your questions on layering. Here's a couple other little tips. Anything that's over here on the left, that is going to be your back layer. And as you move to the right, those move to the front. So if I decided I wanted the yellow to be behind this one, I would just drag it over. See how it moved it here? So then if I try to put this over here, it's going to put it behind it. See that? If I drag it back and put it right here, oh, gotta drag it. I'll try it this way. It's going to move it to the front. So whatever's on the far left is in the back, and you can layer them forward that way. But if you add them to your mat in the wrong area or in the wrong order, you can change that. So I hope that answered any of your layering questions. It's personal. It's your choice on if you want to layer, if you don't want to layer. I don't always layer. It's just up to you. So there you go. I hope that answered your questions. Have a good night.